Alright, so right now I'm opening up the second Joe Bonamassa signature model. So, like I was saying in another video, got this one mostly by the fact that I had a standing order with Sweetwater, and then wound up getting a second one because I didn't want to cancel the order because the sales rep's kind of a friend of mine. Anyway, bottom line, looks equally as gorgeous. I decided not to do the unboxing on this one because we've already seen that. So, just looking at it though, it is very much quality control's pretty spot on. This one does look a lot darker though. Like, I'll have to, this one looks like it's got a darker stain on that rosewood, on the laurel fretboard. And I'll put them next to each other. This one will be unconditioned when I put it next to the other one. So, like I say, I'll get to that sometime soon, but the bottom line is quality control looks pretty good. The overall appearance of the guitar, of course, you know, they're going to have a pretty good quality control. Now, see, this right here, you can kind of see it. I think this is where that scarf joint is, because it does appear that there's something grafted on there, and for both guitars to have it makes me feel like that's probably a scarf joint, but it just doesn't seem to go very deep. It seems like it just ends right there. So, like I say, be interesting to see if that comes out that that's something that they just randomly did. There's no scarf joint down here at all, down at the neck, so it's only right there. But for both those guitars to have that seemingly same round area right there makes me feel like that's probably a scarf joint. Not really a big deal, just something to note. So I've got the 55 Joe Bonamassa standard here, and to give you an idea of just exactly how dry these are, this one has not been treated and these are. So you can see the difference that the conditioning makes on these fretboards right out of the factory. Also, these guitars do have the little barbs in them that hold the stop bar in place. So they are not like the Gibsons. This is the Epiphone version, so it does have the little barbs that hold it in place. So here are the two Joe Bonamassa specials next, or the Joe Bonamassa standards next to each other. Both of them have P90s, as we're talking about the fact. So they are identical in pretty much every way. Now, I decided to put a pick on this one right here so that we could get a better idea of what this looks like, and you can see that the laurel fretboard has been conditioned, and over here it has not. It is still dry. So you can see that when the other one was this dry, it was visibly lighter. Now it is darker, and that is a big deal. So, like I say, this is what it will look like after some conditioning. And I might put this one through the conditioning, fretboard conditioner as well. Haven't even played this one, plugged it in or anything like that yet. Just wanted to, since it got here, I wanted to point out that that is how different they appear when they are conditioned versus unconditioned. And like I say, I'm anxious to try this one right here out, because it is, like I said, it's seemingly the same. Question I have is, how does the back compare? Alright, so the backs Well, they both have very nice backs. Neither one of them has an exceptionally moving back to it. Both of them are pretty much the same. Now, this is the area that it doesn't really show up here, but it shows up more prevalently here that I think the scarf joint is at. And again, I don't know. It doesn't list it. Doesn't, nobody talks about that in the specs, but this one, the one I originally got, is actually about, what is it? Is a few numbers. Interesting. I just realized that those numbers are a little off compared to each other. Give me just a second. I'll see if I can make it where it's easier to see. So, the interesting thing about this is that the one that came to me later is actually a lower serial number. And at first I thought it was the opposite way around. But this serial number on the one that came later is is several thousand different. And I'm going to guess that is because it is made on a line that makes all the other Les Pauls that they make with it. So with that stamping, it is interesting that it is that far off. And I'm talking by like 4,000 digits. So interesting little discovery. I've never really paid attention to the actual numbering system on Epiphones before, but these seem to be made on, much like a Gibson USA is, they must have a specific, just a generic line that makes everything so the neck stamps are shared between all the different models. I do kind of like the way the wood looks on this one. Now this one almost looks like the one that came first, almost looks like it could be a one-piece back, and if it's not, they did an exceptionally good job of hiding the seam. But this one is visibly a seam down the exact middle. So like I say, whoever built this one built it with a seam that is almost completely hidden if it's a multi-piece back. And you know, tell you what, let's take a look at that and see if we see anything that gives it away on the end piece. No, there is not a difference on the end piece. It seems to go all the way across. So again, is this a one-piece back? I can't say for sure, but it sure looks like a one-piece back. That or it's a veneer to hide how many pieces there are. But that's interesting. A little side note for everything. All right, so got the new one plugged in and just kind of showing it off. It did not have the because it was from Sweetwater. They'd already pulled off the covers off of the P90s, but this one does still have. Both of them actually have the cover, the plastic cover on top of the pick guard. So, but anyway, first some clean tones. Neck first. Bridge. And then the middle. Sorry, that was seemed a little out of tune. And the A string keeps going sharp, which I think is odd. Is that odd? I feel like that's odd. Anyway, throw a little fuzz on it. Neck pickup. Bridge. Back in the middle. Sounds pretty good. This one, I've noticed on something, this one, the pickups are at an angle. And this one's closer to the string, and this one's further to the string. I'm going to push pause and bring the other one up for just a moment. This one's pickup is a little bit further away on the treble side, but closer on the bass. But they're both not as dramatically raked as the first one is. So what you'll see is that they're a little more flat. And like I said, this one on the bass side is closer, but on the treble side is further away. So it's interesting that the setup on them, and again, this one is from a later batch, right? Like several thousand digits later, right? Like 4,000 digits later. So it makes me wonder if the differences between two different setups, like different shifts make them, and they set them up differently. There's a lot of questions I can have there. But the same is probably true of Gibson, though their quality control probably keeps a little bit closer than this. At the end of the day, like I say, this one does have, I think, a little bit better setup on it. But also, I have taken this one and cleaned and conditioned the fretboard, so maybe something changed with that. But I'm 99% positive nothing changed on the pickups at that point. And these have those little barbs in there, the Epiphone lock tone setup, so they don't tend to come apart or anything. You got to challenge these to make them come off, whereas the Gibson ones just fall off when you, or at least Gibson USA ones just kind of fall out. But anyway, random note. So back with the newer one again. I think at the end of the day, I'm going to put both of these up for sale, and I'm probably going to condition the fretboard on the one I got second. And the reason for that is that I think I like the way it looks better. I think it just looks better overall. It doesn't really sound much different. It's basically the same. I mean, it's a pickup is a pickup, right? I'll bet you if I tested them, they'd have the same output as the other ones. Anyway, so there you go. A little bit of difference in quality control. I'm surprised by that, but at the same point in time, considering what I've seen from Gibson, I would have thought that they would have had more inspections, I guess, done on them, or maybe, come to think of it, I think they did something about the Wino Les Pauls just recently, where they were looking at them before they, released them into the wild. So the question then becomes, maybe it's just whoever's inspecting them at the USA factory. Random thought. All right. Till next time.